Roll in the city where the deals get done. Hey, numbers second to none.
Welcome to Roll in the City podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly McLean. Today, I have two innovators in the spirit and beverages space. We will be exploring how building the right team can produce the right product. Want to learn more? Roll with us. Well, welcome, Monte and Kevin. How are you guys doing today?
Good morning. Doing great.
Thanks for having us.
We're so excited that you're here. Listen, I want to just get right into it. As co-founders of Blackleaf Organic, you clearly built something special. So how do your individual visions for the company's future align?
Yeah, I'll kind of jump in, especially because you talked about vision, but I'll jump in, but I'll defer to my partner because the reality is this beautiful brand that we're talking about was a vision that he actually had. And I think the alignment of both of our even bigger vision, if you will, is what brought it to life. But maybe, Kevin, you can give him a little bit of that background around it.
Yeah. So, a firm believer in, Black culture makes brands hot, right? We see that with Hennessy. We see that with, a whole host of other brands. But when you think from an ownership standpoint, it's crickets. So for us, it was, one, how do we go out there and not only make brands hot, but how do we create brands? And if you're going to do it, you got to do it at the highest level. So our sort of marching orders, our North Star was how can we create a objectively world-class brand? And then, how do we steward that into being one of the next leading brands? So I was on vacation in Cognac, France. Long story short, I met a master craftsman and we wanted to do something that was unique at the time, which was really, leaning into organic and sustainable practices, but also merging that with just premium aspirational cues. So that's what kind of birthed the product. And like Monte said, we have this saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So us really coming together was kind of that engine and that spirit to really drive this thing to success.
I asked the leaders of Blackleaf Vodka about the future and vision for the company. Here's what they had to say.
I mean, so kind of piggybacking off of Kevin's conversation or his vision, if you will. When the brand was created, it was easy to see that we had something special, right? Then we collaborated, we connected. I came from an industry standpoint where I've seen a lot of brands. Some failed, some succeeded like through leaps and bounds, but they always had a ton of support behind them, a lot of funding, if you will, right? A lot of people want to do something special, but the question becomes, can you do something special, right? So you start checking the boxes. Okay, do we have a great product? Check. High quality product? Check. Do we know what to do with that product? Do we know how to move in this industry? Do we know how to move in this space? Check. Right? Do we have collaboration? Do we have interest? Check. Do we have placements in accounts? Check. Do we have great distribution? Check. So we were checking all the boxes, right? We were doing something right. We had something right. So the question becomes, what is the gap now between taking what we know is special, what has been proven to be special, we've been awarded, which is complimenting that we know what we're doing and we're not just drinking our own Kool-Aid. What's stopping us now from being one of those biggest brands out in the market? Well, this is a very cash-intensive industry, right? It takes a lot of money to go out, to do trials, to do lip sampling. It's a lot of operational costs. It's a lot of costs for building brand awareness when you got behemoths out there spending millions, if not billions, collectively within the space. So for us, it has been not the level of interest, but it's the amount of the consortium of dollars that are needed to really drive the brand into play in the way that it needs to be. We've been successful with getting that interest and starting to build momentum there, but I think there's still some runway to accelerate that and bring in the right people who understand our vision to be partners with us as investors.
That makes sense. One of the things that I remember in our previous conversation was that you talked a little bit about some of the awards that some of the bigger companies have established that you actually are consistently winning. Can you touch on that a little bit? I'm kind of getting off topic, but I want to, since you mentioned the kind of funding, I think we talked about Tito's has, talk a little bit about that as it relates to your challenges, because I thought that was really interesting to see that you all were successful in some areas and consistently more than some of these bigger brands. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So it was funny because it was an award that Kevin actually brought to my attention that I didn't even know about. So you brought up Tito's, right? So there's several different awards competitions in our industry, right? But one in particular that I'll mention is a host of awards that are facilitated by a group called the Tasting Alliance. So the Tasting Alliance has 3 specific competitions. One's the New York Wine and Spirits competition. The other is the Asia, formerly the Singapore Spirits competition. Now it's the Asia Spirits competition, and then the San Francisco World Spirits competition, right? So it's these 3 behemoth competitions. And they have a ranking system where it goes bronze, silver, gold, double gold for those exceptional products, and then platinum if you're able to win double gold 3 consecutive years in one competition, right? So that brand that we just spoke about, they won a double gold once, and I think, what was it, Kevin? 2001? It was 2001. They won a double gold, I believe, in the San Francisco, and they took it and ran with it, as they should, right? They this is something extremely special. Let me kind of cut my chops on this, and they kind of rode that for that wave. You know, people like, oh wow, they must have something special. Well, we've won a double gold in each of those 3 competitions 3 years in a row. So that's 9 double golds. We won a best of class, which Forbes did an article about us, won the best of class vodka at the New York Wine and Spirits competition. So we essentially have won 3 platinum awards across all 3 of those competitions, right? So again, awards are great, you know what I mean? And I think the way Kevin and I look at it is, I can tell you until I'm blue in the face, we have something great. The liquid is impeccable. It's a beautiful product. But to have people who actually do this for a living, they judge brands from small to humongous, and to be able to be seen and proven as not just a good liquid, but one of the best, that's reassuring to us, right? So it's now, okay, we know we have those credentials. What else do we need to prove, you know?
And, you know, that's funny that you say that as a marketer. You know, that's what we teach. That's what we hang our hat on, is that if proof of concept, you know, and then just letting the world know and establishing that authority. And so when you talk about that brand doing that, that's exactly what we would and what you should be doing as far as leveraging that in any way you can. And obviously on, you know, a platform like this will definitely help you do that. Now, with Blackleaf as a distinct, their distinct identity is being Black owned and an organic brand, how do you ensure that your unique identity is consistently communicated and leveraged across all of your market interactions? I mean, what challenges do you face? I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but maintaining the authenticity as you scale.
Yeah, I mean, I can start with that. I think it's really just being true to who you are, right? So for us, it was never chasing a trend. Trends have actually caught up to what we've always believed, which is encouraging. But we always had a unique take on, you know, leaning into organic and again, sustainable. But even the way we did that was unique to us, because there are other organic vodkas, but our kind of big product idea is making organic sexy, right? So it's kind of the marriage of the two. So, you know, we just need to make sure, which we do is just remain true to who we are. It's part of our DNA. It's part of our ethos. So it feels natural, right? So we just need to be consistent in that. And I think that's how you take that concept and you scale it. If you were chasing a trend where it was like, hey, organic is hot, so let's jump in and let's do it, then you would start to see that, okay, it doesn't quite feel like this is true to who these guys are. It seems like, so I think for us, it's just part of our DNA, and we just really look to live that day in and day out.
That makes sense. And you're right. Consistency is everything. I mean, it's just like anything else that you hear. You continue to hear it and it's consistent, it starts to stick. And so you're right. And if you stay true to yourself, people believe it, you start building that authority as you continue to hit that consistent message. Now, in today's market, data-driven decisions are paramount. How does Blackleaf Organic currently utilize market intelligence and performance analytics to inform your strategic decisions, particularly regarding, marketing expansion and investor relations?
Yeah, so you're totally right. Data is king, and that's not just in business; it's in every industry across business, right? So there's a lot of different decision points that we have to make. I would say a couple of decision points that are keen for us are around, as you mentioned, expansion, right? So let's just start with expansion. So Kevin and I can go, hey, we should be in Chicago because Chicago's a hot market. All right, you can go there and you could perform or you could fail. It's only two options. But what if we had an opportunity to actually make an extremely informed decision based on not just our gut and our instinct and what we see, but also looking at data, right? So for instance, let's peel back that onion a bit, right? So we are a French organic vodka, right? What are some of the reasons to believe in us? That provenance, people believing in French and quality and craftsmanship. Brand shows up great in cocktails. We're Black owned. We look for a specific group of people who are somewhat the trendsetters, so on and so forth. So you have all this macro level, you have all these different indicators. So you start looking at data saying, okay, if I'm looking at the market, let's look at indices. Which cities, if you will, over-index in craft culture, okay? Which cities have a group of people who are looking for organic, sustainable brands, right? What city actually buys the most vodka? Like, you start to really break the data down, and then you have a footprint that says, okay, here is the markets, and then, okay, here's the top 20. Then we may look at the top 5 within that top 20 and say, okay, from a logistics standpoint, where's our warehouse? Where do we have access in case we need to pop in? So we start to use the data to actually complement the gut or the instincts to say, okay, these are the markets you need to be in. And then it's an opportunity to test those markets. And as we're testing those markets, we have partnerships. Reserve Bar is a great partner of ours where we can actually sell online to consumers. Well, we might not be in retail in a market, but we could sell online to specific markets. Then we can get data from that. Who's buying? What's the age of the people buying? What is their buying patterns? How often do they buy? So, it's a lot of different ways that we can use data to really help complement what we think is the right thing to do. It confirms and helps make sure that we're moving in the right direction.
We continue to explore Blackleaf's plan to grow the business with proof theory and evolution of the brand and mission. I asked Kevin Larkai, the company's co-founder, how they are approaching scaling the brand and raising capital. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I can start. I think, we've done, again, a masterful job in proving our concept, right? Mm-hmm. Building the foundations. Now, the capital that we're raising and the capital partners that we bring on board will enable us to unlock kind of that value, right? Unlock the growth based on not guesswork, but based on what we've seen to be true, right? So we're just taking patterns that we've developed and we're putting, lighter fluid on those patterns, right? So that's kind of what we're doing with Blackleaf as a brand. And again, it goes back to that vision of how do we create the next leading brands? So the partners that we're looking for are, obviously, capital partners, but people that see our vision, right? And our vision, like you mentioned with Proof Theory, even goes beyond Blackleaf. We want to take that into different categories, right? We want to show again that it's not to say a one-trick pony per se, but we're more ambitious, right? We want to do different categories. We want to essentially put our magic out into the world and look at all types of categories and have our perspective on those. So we have some very interesting ideas. And again, along the way, it's going to require capital. It's going to require, in some ways, influential people that we're partnering with to release products. So it's a whole host of things that we're excited about. And I always say, if we can get people in this foundational stage, it's a benefit, one, to us in able to reach our goals, but it's also a benefit to them in being able to be part of something special from the ground level.
We pick back up with Monte Burrow, co-founder of Blackleaf Vodka, describing the development of this partnership and creative inception of the Proof Theory concept.
So what's interesting is Proof Theory was somewhat birthed from Blackleaf, which is interesting because you would think it was the other way around, right? So, Kevin is on this journey, created this remarkable brand, and I say this not disrespectfully to the brand, but it was a beautiful product that hadn't morphed into what the brand is just yet. I'm working in industry right now in a 9-to-5 in the alcohol space, and Kevin and I had met. So it was around the time when I was leaving my corporate job. Kevin and I reconnected, and we started talking about like just plans and visions and goals and opportunities, and it was one of those conversations. And I told him I was leaving industry, and I said I'm not 100% sure exactly what I want to do next, but it's very likely that it'll be in the alcohol space because I had cut my shot in the decades in the industry. So after a long conversation about what that could look like, and he talked about Blackleaf and how at some point he would love to expand the portfolio. It just became super clear. It's kind of like the world was talking to us, right? It's like we need to partner and collaborate and do something, right? And what that something morphed into was this idea that we ended up calling Proof Theory, right? Proof Theory being apropos for proof of concept, which we talked a bit about here. But also in our industry, proof is the alcohol content in a product. So it's that double entendre, if you will, right? So Proof Theory just made a lot of sense. So the idea around Proof Theory was, how can we take our passions, our expertise, and create a world of brands that combine those. So we just went out and started thinking about things like what could be next, or what is something that's interesting to us, and where are there voids in the market. And as we have these conversations, it's like this shining light that's just there, this flickering light that's there, and we're like, you know what, Blackleaf is here. Why don't we use that as the proof of concept? And literally we shifted focus, and I don't want to say deviated focus, but we just basically pivoted to, let's really take Blackleaf and focus on grabbing the reins around that, and really showing what we can do with that as the proof of concept, which will ultimately be the foundation of what is to come with Proof Theory.
Interesting. So, Kevin, I know you talked a little bit about your experience in France. Now, was that deliberate? Was you exploring, or did you just happen to be at the right place in the right time?
It was more the right place at the right time, but also a mindset that's always with me, right? So I'm very much a dreamer, very much, entrepreneurially inclined. So that engine that wheel is always turning. So I'm always, as I travel, it's always like, man, what a interesting thing people are doing here that maybe could be, I call it idea arbitrage, right? That you could take somewhere else. So that mind is there. And then I met this person who was great at what they did, right? And then that's when it kind of evolved into what it is now. So I'd say it's a little bit of both.
All right. So Monte and Kevin, tell the audience, where can they find you? Where can they find this wonderful product?
Yeah, so if you're looking for the brand in particular, right now we're in retail in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, North Carolina, and Delaware. Delaware, right? And then you can also go to reservebar.com, and you can have it shipped direct to your door in another 33 states. If you're looking for us and you're interested in being part of the Blackleaf family, check us out at blackleafvodka.co, not .com, .co. And you can, see what we're doing. You can find some recipes online as well. You can also go to our socials. Everything is Blackleaf Vodka. So on X, on Instagram, Facebook. And then if you're looking at bigger picture things, Proof Theory is prooftheory.co. So again, not .com, but .co. And there you can get in touch with us. And who knows? It might be somebody out there that's looking to build a brand. That's some of the services that we'll provide. So you can actually input that information in there and we can talk.
Want to learn more about Blackleaf Vodka and other inspirational stories of businesses starting with an idea and successfully bringing it to market? Visit blackleaf.co or rollinthecity.com. Thanks for rolling with us.